Welcome back to the Business Owner Spotlight. It is time to sit down with another amazing business owner and bring you guys some brilliant information from someone who's in the trenches building their business right now. I met Kris, actually, apparently we met a long time ago, and then he reached out to me on Facebook, and I thought it was totally one of those solicitation emails. So first I was totally going to ignore it because he was like, hey, let's get coffee. And you have no idea how many times someone reaches out and goes, hey, let's get coffee. And then I sit down for coffee, and all I get is this massive pitch. And so I was like, well, why? Fortunately, I didn't scare him off, and now he's sitting here with me doing a Business Owner Spotlight. Kris, thanks for taking time to sit down with me.
You bet. Thank you, Stephanie, for not blowing me off. I appreciate it.
So tell us a little bit about your business story. How did you get to where you are? And when did you start your business?
So I actually haven't been an official entrepreneur for too long. I think it's going on 3 years now. And I've done a lot of side things, sidepreneur things on the side, and I've always loved being in that type of field there. I've always been a sales, or always been commission based. So for the most of my career, most of my income and stuff has been based on what I do and what I need to market myself towards. However, I kind of changed that, and once we moved to Texas about 5 years ago, I was working for a big corporation. I was in the real estate industry and realized very quickly that that was not for me. I did not like the corporate world, and so I quickly realized I needed to do my own business and start my own business. So I was trying to make some plans, figure out how to do that, and I had a friend of mine who was in Colorado where I lived at the time, and him and I both moved to different states. He was in Georgia and I moved here, and we started staying in touch and challenging each other actually on starting our own business. So we would start a couple things. We started some blogs, and we tried an ebook thing and all kinds of crazy ideas. I actually had a gardening blog, if you believe that. I was trying to learn how to garden, and Texas fried everything though. So
I can barely even keep mint alive. Now I think that says a lot about me, but like
yeah, it was fun. That was quite the experiment there. So, we tried a few things, nothing worked out, and then all of a sudden I didn't hear from him for a few months, and then he calls me up and he's like, hey Kris, I got a business I want you to join me in. This thing's totally working and I'm making some money. I'm gonna fly out and show you how to do it and get you started. I was like, all right, cool, bring it on. So he did that, and I started working on the side while I was at my corporate job, and very quickly started earning good money. And so I set a goal and actually doubled my income of what I was making at my corporate job in 6 months. And so I was like, all right, this is real here. I need to set a goal of when I can quit then and start doing this full time on my own. And that happened. Actually, I started doing it on my own in February of 2015. And then after that, I quit my job in June of that same year and was doing it full time ever since then, and have loved it. And we grew it really fast and furious. And it's kind of basically, it's like a glorified middleman wholesaler position. So it's kind of hard to get into the details of what it is, but we do online business basically, and it's fun, but it's also it was a lot of work, a lot of hustle in the beginning. I was doing everything, working 60, 80 hours with my corporate job and this on the side, but I had a goal in mind, and that's what I pushed towards.
Wow. That's really, we've never actually talked about like how you got to where you are. And I don't know if we've ever talked about how I got to where I am either, but it's funny how similar that is. How like, I started my business in 2014. So just slightly ahead of you, but May of 2014 was the official start date. At the end of August, I'd done the same thing, doubled, made more money part-time than I had full-time, and said, sayonara. Same thing though, 60 to 80 hours a week at work, and then another 60 hours a week working on my part-time business. So you're right, it's freaking exhausting. How did you live, how did you get through that?
Well, for me, my driving factor, and that's something I always help other people realize too, is you got to have a big purpose, a big why, and actually if I can turn my camera, I'll show you real quick here. There's my big Y poster that's backwards probably for you, but I got this as my motivation. And so it's basically Y, the letters Y spelled out with a bunch of visual pictures of what motivates me and what it was that drove me during that time. And so that's what I use. That's what I use to motivate me. And a lot of it is my family. You know, I wanted to be there for my family. At that time, while we were working the corporate job, we started doing foster care and taking in abandoned children and abused, neglected children. And so that became a big part of who I wanted to be, and my wife as well. And so once we started doing that, I realized that, hey, it would be so much easier and convenient and better for my family if I could do this from home and work from home and be there more for these kids. Because I was actually having to take a lot of time off. When we'd get these kids, we'd get emergency calls in the middle of the night of, hey, take this child in. They're at the hospital. We need you to go pick them up, you know. And so we would do that. And so I'd take some time off to kind of help them get adjusted and get them into the routine of our family. And feeling safe, and then we would go back to work. And so that's what motivated me and to work from home. And now I'm able to work from home. I'm able to stay home. I'm actually in my garage right now, which I converted into an office. We call it the Go Office. So I can work here and stay close to home too. So having a big why was my reason.
I agree. I know there were several times. One of the first things my coach told me was on our very first coaching session, he said, when do you think Disneyland was built? And I'm like, I don't know. Let me Google that real quick. He goes, no. It was built the moment Walt Disney conceived it. He had a big enough why. If you have a big enough why, because you're going to go through crap, you're going to really struggle. But if you have a big enough why, you can make it happen. And I think that's an awesome piece of advice. Absolutely. Oh, go ahead.
No, that was it. Just agreeing.
So what were some of the big challenges that you went through that made you, because I know I've had moments where I've sat down and been like, dear God, is it worth it? Should I just go back to corporate? I swear, like I could just, at this point, I could command a huge salary and I could just work my, 60, 70 hour week and not have to work the rest. And then I'm like, no. So what's the stuff you've run up against that's made you go, is this worth it? And then what was it, the why that got you through those as well?
Well, yeah, not exactly, actually. So there were definitely moments where it was very challenging and scary. I think the number one thing that you probably hear, especially you in your position here, a lot of people that have a hard time making that leap is the fear, right? That fear overtakes us, and that fear of making that jump. And when you have a stable position in a corporate job where you're earning a salary, and your position is safe, you got benefits and bonuses and things like that, that when they're going to come, that makes that security feel very comforting and hard to leave, knowing that once you leave it, then all of that is on your shoulders. So it's a lot more weight, a lot more burden, and can be stressful for you too. But I think the biggest thing is that fear that it causes. So for me, the goals was the biggest thing, setting goals. I set myself up for financial goals of what I was going to meet. And then as they were getting closer and getting more real, I was like, wow, I'm going to hit this, we're going to make this happen here. Am I ready to do that? And for me, it wasn't actually my why that pushed me to do it. It actually was a friend of mine who was kind of my coach and mentor at the time, who also helped me get into business. He was the one that really pushed me. So he set me up for the business. He was the one that got me started in the business and was kind of funding it and helping me financially to get started. And then I was putting money aside knowing that I was going to start it on my own, and he was supportive of that. And once it got to that point at the very beginning of 2015, I was letting him know, okay, I'm ready. I think I have enough money saved up. I can get this started on my own now. And then that month that it was happening in January, or about to happen, I was like, I don't think I can do this, man. I don't think I can do this. Can I just stay on with you for a while longer? And he gave me the best thing that he could ever do. He basically kicked me off and said, nope, I'm cutting you off next week. This is going to be it for you. I'm cutting you off, and you're going to be on your own next week. And at first my reaction was like I was mad at him. I was like, you can't do that to me. I'm not ready, And then after I calmed down and stuff, I realized, okay, he's right. I got to take a leap of faith now. I got to do it on my own. And So I did, and it was the best thing he could have ever done for me and helping me get started. And that's what launched me and gave me the courage and I needed to start it on my own, as he believed in me. And so he kicked me off on my own and let me go.
Wow. That's huge. I honestly, I don't know where I would be without my coaches right now. Like, I know a lot of people like, but Stephanie, Kris, you've worked so hard. You should take credit for that too. But I'm like, yeah, but at the same time, they've put so much. I really don't know where I'd be without my coaches right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so important. I think everybody you can't look beyond any successful person without seeing a coach behind them too. So
no, they all talk about that. So I know you have another business other than what did you call it? A glorified middleman wholesaler.
Yeah.
So how did you get into, so you're now a serial entrepreneur. You have two businesses, both of them do very well. How did you get into your secondary business?
Yeah, so typical of entrepreneurs, right? You can't sit still for very long there. And once we were successful in the first business, which our first business, we did $500,000 in the first year, and then we doubled that by the second year. And so once you get to a certain point, then you realize, okay, now I'm doing pretty good. I got it stable. I got systems set up. So what else can I do? And so start looking at other opportunities. And so I started talking to my wife of what kind of business we wanted to get into and start investing in manufacturing and kind of getting our own goods and selling them online. And my wife was the one that mentioned getting into essential oils. And let me emphasize, that's essential oils like aromatherapy and stuff like that. I always have to clarify that.
I haven't even made that connection.
Yeah. They either think essential oils or the oil field. And I'm like, no, that's not what we're doing. We are in Texas, but it's not the oil field. So
nice.
So essential oils there. And we were looking into that. However, there's a lot of essential oil sellers out there that have the oils themselves. So we decided to sell products. So we kind of took a step back and said, let's be the person selling the jeans or the picks during the gold rush rather than being the person running for the gold there. So that's what we did. So we started off making products for people that use essential oils. Bottles and diffusers and storage boxes and things like that. And then that kind of expanded to where we realized that a lot of our buyers and customers were resellers or they were in the network marketing space there and they needed help. So then we started looking at ways to help them by offering coaching services to teach them how to have a online business or just a successful business doing network marketing. Through some of the successful things that we had in our business, and we're able to grow it so rapidly and kind of share those same tips with them. So that's what got us into it.
Nice. So how do you juggle two businesses? Because that's not easy.
Yeah. Well, the real question is, how do you juggle two businesses and 5 kids there? We still foster. We actually have adopted all our girls that we have now. So we have 5 kids at home, and that's the real challenge. So fortunately, my wife is blessed to be able to stay at home and take care of our kids. And as I work from home, I get to help her out a lot too. So that definitely makes it easier. And it has to do with kind of systems and people. You've got to have the right people and processes, just like they talk about on the Profit, right? And so the processes was the first thing that we set up, having the right systems in place. And then fortunately, I got blessed with some really awesome people that helped me in my other business. And I got a few full-time people that help out at our warehouse and distribution and stuff. And so that's important as well. You got to have the right people, which means you got to take care of them and do a good job of providing for them as well, so they feel secure working for you. And so we do that. We take really, really good care of our staff, and they take care of our business. And so that kept it to where it flows very easily, and I don't have to spend as much time in it. And then I can focus my time and energy on growing the other business, which it's still very, very early stages right now. We're spending a lot of money on marketing and expanding that business. And so I get to enjoy that because that's my favorite part, is kind of watching that growth and doing the marketing piece. So I spend most of my time in that. And then as it grows, then we'll do the same thing, put systems and people and processes in place. So that way that can be a little more steady going as well.
So what's next? Are you going to add another business, a fourth business, a 10th business? Where are you going to go from here?
No. The thing I am really trying to work very hard on right now, and you know this just because of our meetings together, is I'm trying to stay focused. Fortunately, you know, the other business is very automated, so I don't need to do a lot in that, and so it gives me time. But with the other business, as an entrepreneur, it is very hard to not go chase the squirrel or the little gold nugget over here. And so there's always something that's kind of drawing your attention, but I'm really trying to focus on the one thing that's in front of me. And, you know, for me, focus, and I've got it right here on my computer, follow one course until success. That's what FOCUS stands for. And so I read that every day and I look at that. I even have a target picture too with my oils for everything business right in the middle. So that way I know that's what I'm focusing on each and every day. And I make sure that at the beginning of the day, I ask myself, okay, what can I do that's focused on my one goal here, my one thing? And so I'm definitely laser tracked on that. I've got a 5-year plan for this business. And so I'm going to see that through first before I start pursuing anything else.
Nice. Well, I think that I'd never heard that acronym before. That's awesome. Follow one horse until success. I love that.
Yes.
So last question here, as we're coming up on our 20-minute mark. What is your best piece of advice for other business owners out there? What's the number one most important thing you would give them?
Well, I think it would have to be what I just mentioned. I have learned from so many mistakes I made there of trying to chase other things and getting excited about other avenues that I could be making money or doing in my business. And you get overexcited about it and you see potential everywhere. And there is potential everywhere. It is easy to make money. And that's the thing you realize once you become an entrepreneur. It really isn't that hard once you make that leap of faith and go after it. But the thing that does make it hard is if you don't focus on one thing and you spread yourself too thin.
Yeah.
And the thing I'm really realizing in my business too is I even have to narrow that down in the business itself. It's not just focusing on my business. Even on my business, I can go after marketing on Amazon and marketing on my own website and marketing on Facebook. But if I don't focus on one of those areas at a time, I won't even be successful with that. So I really have to stay focused, following one course until success on every single thing I pursue until it's successful, and then move to the next step there. So that would be my advice, is just follow that one course until you're successful and then move to the next one, and don't distract, don't detour, just stay on course.
Nice. I freaking love that. And I think you just took it to a whole new level there. So I'm not even going to elaborate. I think that was great. If you're watching the replay of this one, rewind that, listen to that again, because so many people forget that. And I do too. So I'm glad this is recorded and I can go back and watch it again myself. Kris, thank you for taking time. I know you have a lot going on. Thank you for taking time to sit down with me.
You bet. Thank you, Stephanie, for having me on. I appreciate it. Appreciate what you're doing. You're doing an awesome job, and I'm glad we reconnected.
Me too. So for our listeners out there, this is the Business Owner Spotlight. This is what it's about. Finding business owners who deserve to have the spotlight put on them, who have really good information that they need to share. They need a platform to share it, but they don't have one. But the problem with finding those business owners is it's really hard to find them. So if you could help me out, if you know somebody who would be worth a business owner spotlight, send them my way. You can grab my email address below, send me their contact information. I'll set up a time to do a spotlight with them. Kris has sent me multiple people already, so you know it can spread. Just point me in the right direction. I look forward to hearing your recommendations. In the meantime, go out there. You have an amazing future ahead of you. Focus on not just hitting your target, but smash it.